I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians and the lands under which all of us are meeting today, and recognize a continued connection to the land, water, and our communities, and pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Now, today we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. Firstly, I want to tell you a little bit more about our university. That'll be very brief. Then we'll jump into getting started at university, what the next application process is going to look like, any last minute things that you might need to know that reassure you about sort of how the process is going to go from there, how you can continue to change preferences, as well as some different information about applying for university, tips for getting started, enrolling in your classes, stuff like that as well. We also do have a current university student with us today who's going to give you some of their perspective about that transition into university and study, and some tips to make the most of it from there. So firstly, we understand that this can be quite an intimidating time. We've all started university ourselves at some point. We know that there's lots of big questions that go associated with that. Many of you might have a couple of different concerns. You might have worries, you might be anxious about getting started, and that's fine. I suppose like the key takeaway I want to take away is you've done a great thing by connecting today and logging in, making a time to attend this webinar. And if you keep doing things like this, going there and accessing the information that you need and to answer the questions you have, then you're going to be fine. Universities are really great for putting services on to support you as a student. And what the hardest barrier we have to supporting students that need it is them being proactive in getting it. So never be afraid to ask questions, never be afraid to reach out and get what you need from there. And just know that when you do reach out, we're going to be there to support you as well. So firstly, our university, we've got 5 fantastic campuses spanning from Fraser Coast down to Moreton Bay. Some of you might also have applied for university degrees online, which we do also have a number of online programs as well. But whether you are based at a campus, you can still access a number of courses online as well. And blended learning is becoming really popular among our students. In fact, about 1 in 5 USC students UniSC students take at least one course online. So it really is a big common pathway as well. Similarly, we also moved away from, I suppose, some of the more traditional types of learning. So you're not going to find lectures in our degrees where we bunch, 300 people into a lecture theatre and speak at you for an hour. When you are engaged in classes with us, whether it be online or on campus, we want that learning to be meaningful. So it's hands-on, activity-based. You'll be working in small groups. You'll be working on actual physical hands-on things, structured around your degree to ensure that you can have the most personalized learning experience possible. In addition to that, you'll be working in facilities that mirror those that you'll be accessing in the workforce as well. So be ready to go for whatever it is you might need from there. We have a huge range of support services, as I've mentioned. And if you do need these on the way, please do make use of them. A lot of money, a lot of resources go into making sure that if you need learning support, if you need access to anything, you've got what you need there to get things on the way. It's not just all academics either. It's personal counseling, it's employability services. You whether need a job now or a job in the future when you graduate, we've got teams of people that can help you do that as well. If you do have difficulties in accessing your learning, maybe a disability or an injury might be preventing you from making the most of your studies, we can actually make an individual access plan for you, basically to ensure that you can do what it is you need to do from there as well. Even in simple things like accessing library resources, we've got helpful guides where they take you through step by step, how to reference, how to write academically. We've got a huge range of resources, and you'll be receiving, once you receive your offers, quite a lot of links to those sorts of materials. So save those emails and definitely take advantage of all the things that we tell you about along the way. And finally, when you study with us, you will be finding that we have a huge focus on employability. In fact, you will actually have the opportunity for work integrated learning in every single degree that we offer. So we do provide lots of those opportunities for those hands-on experiences, some degrees more than others, particularly if there's accreditation involved where a certain number of hours have to be involved from there. So you can know that you'll be job ready when you do graduate with us. And for all these reasons, you know that when you trust us with your education, you're going to be supported. And our students for the last 17 years in a row have rated us as having 5 stars for teaching quality in the Good Universities Guide. And it's really hard to get those 5 stars, so we're really quite proud of them. So moving on to some of the more, I suppose, the admissions side of the presentation now, we'll talk about what's going to happen with your applications if you haven't yet received an offer. And some people, depending on your circumstances, might have already received an offer. Some of you might have received an early offer as well. Obviously, this information isn't necessarily for you. However, some of you might have also accepted your offers conditionally, so you might still also be in the mill to receive additional offers for degree programs in the future. But basically, when it comes down to the university assessing who gets in, we look at two big things: merit and eligibility. Now, eligibility are going to be things like prerequisites. If a degree has a certain prerequisite on it, effectively it means we won't assess you unless you've met that criteria. It could also be things like English language proficiency, depending on your background, which has to be met before we can consider making you an offer. From there, we use a thing called a selection rank to order which students get in from there. So we go from the highest selection rank, so on a scale of effectively 30 to 99.95. And effectively, it's identical to the ATAR range for those of you who might have been coming through from school. And what we do is we order from the highest achieving to lowest achieving, and then we make sure that the highest achieving go in first, so it's a fair way to decide who gets a place when there's sometimes a bit of competition for those places from there. Now, there's lots of different ways to get that selection rank, and we'll be talking on a few of those as well. Now, some of you, unfortunately, won't get your first preference on your QTech application when you apply with us. I'm sure many of you realize by having to put multiple preferences, that's probably something that happens quite a bit, and it's perfectly fine if you don't. If you don't get into your first degree straight away, you don't have to panic. It is something that happens every single year, and every single year students take alternative pathways to get there. There's always different options you can do to get into where you want to go. So in terms of those pathways, effectively, there's different ways you can gain that selection rank. Some of you would have it from school, from an ATAR. Some of you would have completed previous study with another university, or with a vet provider like TAFE, or an RTO offering a certificate or a diploma course. Those scores might be boosted by our Access USC pathway, and some of you might also be coming in from our tertiary preparation pathway, which will not only give you enabling skills to succeed at university, but also give you a standalone selection rank. In fact, some of you out there might actually have 3, 4, or even 5 selection ranks from various different pathways. Your old OP from school or ATAR from school might still be is still there. It can still be used for the process of admission. We can draw on your certificates. We can draw on previous study you've done in the past. There's lots of different ways to get that as well. So we'll always use whichever score is highest to assess you. So you don't have to worry about an old score out there floating around, but just know that those are in the background to sort of admit you. But one of the other key ways you can access university is through other university studies. So if you start studying with us in one degree, even if it isn't quite your first preference, every course that you complete along the way is actually contributing to building up a new selection rank, a selection rank derived from your university studies. Now, to get the highest possible level of these, you're best off doing at least 1 year full time. However, for the vast majority of UniSC programs, all you really need to do is complete 1 semester in a degree, and provided you've got decent grades, you've passed those courses, you're going to be in a really strong position to apply for most degrees. Now, some of the more hyper-competitive ones out there do require better grades. Just pulling an example, the Bachelor of Midwifery, for example, there's a limited number of places, a high number of applicants. As a result, only some of those higher achieving scores get through. Lots of those students get through because they start with us, they do 1 year of study, boost their grade point average by getting good grades in their courses, and then from there, that new score can then admit them into university. And it really is quite compelling. If you've got straight passes, so moving it to the letter scale you might have used in school, so those C minuses that you might have got in school if you just scrape through a course. Well, if you get C minuses all the way through, you're sitting in there in the low 90s in terms of a selection rank. So it really is a really compelling score. So definitely worth investing that time in through there as well. Now, we do also offer a number of other backup plans. So undergraduate certificates and diplomas, shorter courses that can be used as a pathway if you don't quite get in there along the way. And those are quite good because sometimes those undergraduate certificates and diplomas are made up of the same introductory courses that you've completed as part of that you would otherwise complete as part of your undergraduate degree, which means you don't waste any time because those courses will be counted as credit towards your new degree. Now, it is possible to go from one degree to a completely different one with very little overlap or even no overlap and still take some credit with you. But it's a lot easier if you pick something that's quite similar. A good example might be clinical exercise physiology, which shares much of its first year with our sport and exercise science program. So there's always options and backup plans, and our teams on the phones and on the Q&A today can help you with a bit of that information if you do have any specific questions. Now, as I mentioned, if you do have a selection rank, that rank might be boosted by certain things. So we do have our Access USC Adjustment Factor program, where if you've completed certain subjects in high school, or if you've from a particular geographic area, you might be getting certain bonuses applied. Now, some of these apply in the back are applied in the background. Some of them, like our elite athlete bonus, you do have to apply for and provide additional information. But your raw score alone doesn't determine what you get into. And just for those who are watching their scores and looking at their selection ranks, a little bit nervous about potentially getting in when the next round of offers go out on Thursday, don't think about it too much, because those selection ranks that are published on our website, that are published in our literature, they're actually based on last year's intake. So different trends come through and certain degrees become more or less popular, and entry scores can go up and down as a result. So it's really tough to predict who's going to be in and who's not going to get an offer. So definitely one just to keep an eye on from there. Now, a really good backup plan, and this could be used as potentially a preference 5 or 6 on your QTech application if you are looking at changing your preferences, is our tertiary preparation pathway. So TPP is a free bridging course. It's effectively funded by the federal government. You enroll in it. If you do 4 courses through TPP, you'll take a full semester, just like you were studying at university. You become a student effectively, and you undertake courses that are designed to prepare you for university. We're talking academic skills. They teach you how to reference. They teach you how to research at the library. Everything that you need to succeed. If you're moving into a science course or an engineering course with maybe a high mathematics threshold, you can undertake introductory science courses or mathematics to boost up those core skills you need to go through there as well. So there's a huge advantage in taking TPP in terms of preparing you for getting started at university, particularly if you've taken a few years off since you last did some studying. Now, as a bonus to this as well, you can also receive an additional selection rank based on your performance in TPP, which will add, which will be a standalone selection rank that can be used for university admission as well. Now, many of you may already have, or in fact, I suspect most people who are here in the webinar today, given the time of year, have a current application in with the university. And if you do have a current application in, I'll mention that our next offer round next Thursday, there is a cutoff to changing preferences around. So your QTech preference list has to be locked in by about noon on Monday. So I would strongly encourage you, if you are still umming and ahhing and you're not too sure what you need to put in there, if you want to put a backup plan or TPP as a lower preference, or if you want to reorder some things around, definitely think about doing that today, just so you can get through there as well. Even if you don't get through by that deadline, there are later offer rounds in January, so you can look at changing those a little bit later down the track as well. So our recommendation, and this certainly isn't going to be for all people, but the way we recommend structuring preferences, preference 1 or 2 should really be what you want to get into. So number 1 should be, this is where I want to be next year. Number 2, 3 and 4 should be your backup programs. So, all right, if I don't quite get into that, I might be interested in that. And then your pathways at the bottom. So think undergraduate certificates, university diplomas, TPP, or an easier course to get into. So for example, you might be looking at doing a double degree in law and business. So you might put as one of your lower preferences just a business degree, knowing that you can transfer into the double degree down the track. So that's sort of our recommendation in terms of how you might want to consider doing that one in from there. Now, what to expect next? This is probably the big one that a lot of you have been wondering about, because this is a big unknown. There's a lot of anxiety around this time of year. You know that you're moving into this time period where a lot of mechanisms are going to happen at the university, happen at QTech, and what does that actually look like? The good news is you're going to get a guide that looks a bit like this, with step-by-step instructions that guide you through along the way. We've done this 30,000 times. We know exactly what information you need in order to move through this process, and we try to make it as simple as possible. But still, to reassure you, we're going to take you through these steps as well. So the first thing that you're going to do when you receive an offer from us is get an email. You'll need to accept that offer, both through QTech as well as through the university. So you have to accept the offer twice by the specified date. Now, offers do time out. If you are looking at if you're about to pack the bags and jump on a Christmas holiday, you're not going to have internet for a few days. You might want to start looking at a bit of a backup plan. Make sure you've got either somewhere to access it, or potentially call QTech up and delegate someone who can respond to an offer for you, because offers do lapse after a certain date. Now, it is possible to sometimes get an offer reissued after they've lapsed. So don't panic if it does happen, because we know that Christmas is quite a busy time. But it's a lot easier if you just get in by the deadline. So our next offer round is next Thursday. So we do it. Most of you will probably be expecting offers during that round if you haven't already. So I'd strongly encourage you to take a look at that one. So from there, you'll be given an opportunity to respond to this. So there are only a couple of different responses: accept, reject, defer offers. We'd love to have a chat to you if you're looking at deferring your offer, because there's there's a long time between now and the start of semester, so quite a bit of time there as well. So if you do have plans, holidays and things like that, we'd love to have a bit of a chat about that first. But basically, for each of these offer responses, you can accept it or reject it outright. You can say, look, this is my decision, I'm keen, let's go. Or you can go a conditional response. So let me sort of explain what that means. So if I conditionally accept my offer, it means I'm accepting that. However, there's 6 or 7 more QTAC offer rounds before the university semester starts. I want to be considered for a higher preference before then. Now, sometimes you get your first preference, but you've been, sitting down, maybe at a Christmas dinner with someone who told you about a great career they've got, and you really want to change your mind. Well, basically, you can go through, even after you've received an offer, change your preferences around ahead of the next intake. And as long as you've conditionally accepted, that can still happen. Likewise, maybe you don't receive your first preference. You receive a second or a third or a fourth preference, and you want to be considered for something a little bit higher up in your list. By conditionally accepting or conditionally rejecting that offer, you do get the opportunity then to have a second chance of getting through. And while the January offer round, the first offer round that comes through in January, sort of sets the scores as to what entry ranks might be, there are a lot of people out there that defer. There are a lot of people out there that don't accept their offers. There are a lot of people out there that just decide not to start the university semester. So what happens is additional places can sometimes become available. So as long as you've conditionally accepted, you can still make all your plans, prepare for what you're going into, but you can still be considered for a higher preference in a later intake as well. So you can either change your preferences or you can't, but you will obviously QTAC will only make an offer for your highest eligible preference where you meet that merit order along the way. Now, the next thing, and I just to reassure you, you will be prompted about this as well. Many of you may have completed previous university study. Many of you have completed certificate 4s or diplomas, or might have extensive work experience. Some of you might be IB students who have completed higher level studies as part of your senior school program as well. For all those sorts of things, and for a few other certain situations, you may be eligible for credit or exemptions. Now, what this basically means is that the university recognizes that if you've done some level of high level study in the past, you might have learned a few things along the way. We want to make sure that you're not reinventing the wheel. So what we can do is we will assess what you've done in the past. We'll see if it matches up with any of the courses that you would normally be taking within your degree program. And then from there, we might issue you some credits. Sometimes the level of learning hasn't quite been high enough, and we might decide to give you an exemption or something like that. So basically, we'll say you don't have to do that mandatory course. You can pick something else that's more aligned with your interest, an extra elective or something from another study area. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel and do that sort of study again from there as well. Now, we're going to be prompting you as part of your offer acceptance to provide us with any information that you have on those certificates or those other things that you might need. So if you have done a TAFE certificate, or for an RTO, you've got a diploma, you've got a certificate 4 or higher, I'd be gathering those documents, gathering those transcripts, university transcripts if you studied elsewhere, and make sure you've got that ready and handy so you can provide that information to the admissions team so that they can then go through and assess you for credit along the way. We really do recommend not wasting time on this one. It can take up to 30 days, particularly during these really busy periods where there's lots of applicants coming through at the same time. So get that documents ready now before those offers come out, so that as soon as you're going through the enrollment process, you've got it handy, you can upload it, off you go. So after that, From there, you'll have the opportunity to start enrolling in your courses. So a course is a subject. We've used a bit of terminology along the way, but at UniSC, we call a university degree a program. We call, and a program is made up of usually between 24 and 32 courses, and those are subjects that you do along the way. So a full-time student in a single semester will do 4 courses or 4 subjects at once. Now, after you accept your offer, you'll need to enroll as a full-time student in your first 4 courses, or as a part-time student in 1 or 2, or however many you need to sort of suit your life from there. Now, the first place to go is your degree page on our website. So the degree program page has a lot of information about the university. The key one being that program detail tab you can see at the bottom of the screen. Now, from there, you can go down to the study sequences, where depending on if you're a Moreton Bay student, an online student, Sunshine Coast student, Gympie, Fraser Coast, no matter where it is you're studying, you'll have a study sequence plan there, which will talk about what order you need to undertake certain courses. Now, there's a chance that they may change slightly between that first day where you download it and 2 or 3 years time when you finish your degree. But that's the recommended plan to get started with. And if there are any changes, new courses on offer, things like that, we're going to get in touch with you along the way. So that information will be readily available. You can keep coming back to this page every semester to work out what it is you enroll into next. But definitely checking out those study sequences is quite good. And to be honest, it's quite exciting because you guys can actually go through now, look at what classes you'll be doing in 3 or 4 months' time, look at the assessment, look at what you'll be learning in those classes. It's actually a really, really exciting thing to do. And for me, certainly realizing I had access to all that information got me really quite excited about starting university. From there, you'll be prompted in our back end to enroll. So you'll be able to manage your enrollment, choose those courses within it, and basically start adding them in from there. It's really hard to go wrong. It's not going to let you go through and enroll in things that you're not meant to be enrolling into. So the system's got some good little safeguards there along the way as well. And there'll be detailed instructions from there as well. And then from there, you'll be waiting for class selection to open on 16th of January. So once you've enrolled in the courses, you then need to pick a class time. So in some courses, particularly for introductory first year courses that might be common across a range of degrees, you might have dozens and dozens of options of class times. So there's often quite a bit of flexibility there, but in some smaller niche programs, you might have some different limited availability. So it's basically, we encourage you to go through and select that once it becomes available from the 16th of January. Basically, you'll go into the courses that you've enrolled into, you'll look at the components that you need to enroll from there, and you'll be able to select the available classes. It'll tell you the dates those classes are running. The vast majority of them will run during the standard semester period. However, there will be some of those out there that do run outside of it. This is a good example here, nursing, where a lot of courses sometimes do get outside of it, particularly those students that might be on placements or doing work integrated learning as well. So from there, you'll just go through and add the selected class to your enrollment. So that's probably enough from me going through all the, I suppose, the boring bits. We have actually got Chantel with us today, who's a current student who's going to share some of her experiences about starting with the university, going through the same processes you're about to, and to share some of her wisdom about getting started. So Chantel, I'll hand over the mic to you and we can go from there.
Easy. Thank you so much, Sebastian. So just a little bit about me. So my name's Chantel. I've just finished my 3rd year in the Bachelor of Commerce Accounting. And that commerce accounting actually runs for 3 years. So I've actually graduated. So my graduation ceremony is in April next year. So until then, I will be waiting for my little parchment paper that says I've graduated, but I still feel like a student. So I was a school leaver in 2019 from a little high school called Assumption Bay State High School. I actually didn't do the ATAR system. I was an OP student, unfortunately. I went straight from school straight into university. I didn't take a gap year at all. And I started my first semester at the University of Moreton Bay, UniSC Moreton Bay, where I was the first group of students to come in 2020, which is very exciting to come to a very new university. I applied for Early Offer Guarantee in the Bachelor of Commerce Accounting. Some of you may have heard about Early Offer Guarantee, which is where I got a place in my program before I actually finished school, which was very exciting. So I had that kind of as a backup for a program that I wanted to do instead. So I conditionally accepted that and then waited for my first preference to come in. So in that offer round, as I waited for that first preference, I actually didn't get the score I needed. So I can't remember exactly what my OP was or my ATAR equivalent was, but I know that the cutoff was an OP2 or an ATAR of about a 97 or a 98, which obviously is a very, very high score, and I didn't achieve that. The reason it was so high is because it had a scholarship embedded into it. As you can see down the bottom, you've got my QTAC codes and the order of my preferences. So it was a Bachelor of Business Dean's Honours at QUT that I unfortunately didn't get into, but that's okay because I ended up here in UniSC anyway. Because I remembered, I got the proximity to home. At the moment, I live probably about 15 minutes from where I study. I can travel by car and I get free parking on campus, rather than having to, travel 1 hour on the train to get into QUT. I'd much rather prefer just like traveling in my car instead of spending an hour on the train each way as well. Like that would definitely drain me for my study. Better opportunity, I actually got better scholarships here at UniSC than I would have gotten at QUT. So currently, I was on the Moreton Bay Regional Council scholarship for about $8,000 a year. And then on top of that, I got an additional scholarship specifically for me studying accounting, which was an extra $1,000 a year. So financially, I actually ended up better studying here at UniSC than I was at QUT. And the teaching quality as well was another reason that really solidified me going here to UniSC, because the student-teacher ratio is very amazing. I think in my classes, I think I've had as little as about 3 to 1. So definitely you get that more like personal approach rather than sitting in a big class with maybe about 20 or 30 people. So your first year. So obviously in your first year, you're going to have a lot of different barriers. You're switching from school, which is a very, very structured format, to university, which maybe isn't so structured for a lot of you guys. So we have work and study commitments. So definitely your study, if you're going to study full time, we try to allocate about 38 hours per week, just like a normal like full-time job. And then putting on another part-time job or casual job on top of that can really drain you for all your hours. And I know some people that even study full-time. So what you guys want to be careful of is making sure that you have enough time for work and study and doing your assessments in your free time as well. We've got our flexible study options. So we have our online and in-person classes, and you've got the freedom to choose whichever classes you want as well, based on what the timetables allow you to. So there might be some 8 a.m. classes all the way up to some 6 p.m. classes, and you can choose whichever ones that you prefer that work well with your timetable. You've got meeting new people with similar interests and goals. So a lot of people you'll actually meet in your classes, and you'll actually have those people for a lot of the duration of your degree, because you'll have a lot of the same classes together. So it's a really good way to make friends and meet people who are interested in exactly what you're studying, as well as what they maybe want to do for a job out of afterwards, and they can even help you get some jobs as well. So next year, because I've finished now, next year I'll actually be studying with one of my close friends, Laurel, who also just recently finished. So we'll be we'll be working together at KPMG next year. And that's amazing because I know that she'll be there as my friend as well as another UniSC graduate. So I'm very excited about that. You also sometimes have to prioritize your study on the weekends. You have to plan for those upcoming assessments, or maybe even watch your lectures on the weekends now that we don't have actual in-person lectures. So you just have to make the time for that and make sure you manage your time effectively. You're also responsible for yourself. So no one is going to be chasing you for your missing assignments. Upcoming, you've got no teachers that are going to be on your back about it. But if you do miss an assignment or you turn it in late, one of the good things about our university is that we have like a percentage scale decrease. So in the first day, you only lose about 5% off the mark, and the second day is about 10%, and it keeps decreasing. So what it means is that as soon as the assessment is due and you miss it, it doesn't mean that you automatically fail, which I really love about this uni. And you only get out what you put in. So university is what you make of it. So what you can do is you can, participate in all of our university events that we have. You can participate in none of the university events that we have. We have those options available to you guys, and, you guys can do whatever you want with them, whether you want to participate or just kind of, cruise on by with university. We have the options for both of them. So enrolling and choosing classes. So referring to how do I enroll on the university website. So if you go on to usc.edu.au and just type in the search bar, how do I enroll, it will give you a step-by-step list of exactly how to enroll, just like Sebastian was talking about before. So if I took an example of the Bachelor of Primary Education at Moreton Bay, what I would do is I would go onto UniSC Central, I would go into manage my enrollment and enroll by my requirements. The 4 subjects I have listed, I've taken from the course webpage, and then course detail, and then study sequences. So they're the first year courses that the Bachelor of Primary Education students will do at Moreton Bay. Now that I have these course codes, what I would do is refer to the timetable planner on the UniSC website, which is actually now available for you guys. So it opened on December 14th. So once you guys know exactly what classes you're going to study at the beginning of semester 1 next year, very highly suggest that you go onto that timetable planner so you can actually see exactly when your classes are going to be. So you can see exactly the days and the times that they're going to be on, and then as well as how you can fit that around maybe your work schedule as well. And then once you have them, you want to enroll in your classes on the 16th of January. So sometimes you may not get your first preference, but luckily for you guys, because you're first year students, you're actually at first choice out of all the continuing students and people who didn't enroll on time. So definitely make a list of your first preferences for your classes, and then also make a couple of other backup preferences as well. Support services for UniSC students. So we've got our peer-assisted study sessions. So therefore, a lot of our first year classes, they're not available for all study areas, but they are, I know, for business and I think health and life sciences, I want to say. So basically what it is collaborative learning. So it's basically one-on-one learning with, I think it's a previous student, and you can basically ask them whatever questions you have about that particular subject. So you don't have to worry about going to, talk to your lecturer or your tutor and asking them questions during class. If you maybe are too shy to say it, you can ask it one-on-one with another person. Learning advisors. Learning advisors are great for just general questions you guys might have. So any questions about assessments with grammar and punctuation or spelling, they're more than happy to help out with that. So consults are more one-to-one, so you get that opportunity for feedback for yourself. Drop-in sessions are basically a couple of people who can ask a question and then obviously leave that session once they have that answer. And then workshops are more like classes to be able to develop your skills in those areas. Studiosity has been amazing for feedback on assignments. It's only general feedback for spelling, punctuation, and grammar, but it gives you the opportunity to kind of give someone else to take a look at your work. And maybe you've missed a word or you think a word's there and it's not. And they really are helpful with picking those little things out. And the good thing about that is you are limited to 8 per semester, but 8 per semester is more than enough for maybe 2 per class. We've also got our student wellbeing and counselling. So there's a free service that we offer for all university students. So we've got, they could be used for any university stress, any assignment stress, anything that, is going on in your university life, or any personal problems as well that could prevent you from completing those assessments. Again, it's a free service and I really highly recommend that you use it. And then we've also got our Safe USC, so our campus safety and security team. So at Moreton Bay, we've got 24/7 security, which has been amazing for any late night study sessions where, you're up to 2 a.m. and you don't want to, sit at home and do work. You kind of want to go out and into a neutral area and kind of do some work and have a breath of fresh air. So going there and knowing that I'm safe on campus and there's people there and there's security there that, are always happy to help, and, it's amazing them being there. And also with that, we have a Safe Zone app. So you can actually be notified, the safety team will actually be notified when you show up on campus and when you leave, so that if there's any maybe like threats that happen to the campus or any lockdowns or anything, they'll know exactly that you're on campus and they'll be able to help you where you are. So I've also got my tips for starting university. So my first one is listing assignment due dates in course outlines into a calendar or diary, because nothing is worse than forgetting a due date and remembering on the day that it is due. So definitely write them all down as soon as you know exactly when they are, because then you'll be able to prioritize them. Maybe you might prioritize them by the week that they're due, or maybe which ones will take the longest time. Communicating often with course coordinators and tutors. So This could be about personal issues requiring maybe an extension for an assessment, or even any problems with assessment content. They're always more than happy to help as long as you just communicate with them. They're more than happy to communicate back with you. Organising textbooks before the start of the semester. Nothing is worse than your course coordinator, your tutor saying, pull out the textbook and start reading when you don't have it. So definitely organise them as soon as you get your course outlines. They'll be listed in there, and you can see exactly what year, what edition, and exactly what textbook you'll need for it. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to your course coordinators or tutors, and they're more than happy to help. Participating in the study overseas program. I know for a lot of you guys, and for me personally, I love to travel. Unfortunately, it is very expensive. So some of these photos are actually of me recently in New York, and let me tell you, it was a very expensive personal trip. So I definitely recommend participating in the study overseas program when you can. You get an opportunity to go and see the world and, you know, embrace different cultures without having that big financial burden on you. And you also have the time as well before you maybe start a full-time job after university. And don't be afraid to change or defer your degree. You know, I had no idea if I was going to go into something I liked because I hadn't done it as a thing. And obviously with a lot of like tailored university courses, maybe like midwifery or medical science or nursing, that you don't really know if you're going to like it until you get into it. And that's okay. You know, so even though you may not like it, there's always, you know, an option to change it or even defer it as well. You know, deferring it if you want to maybe take a break from your education to maybe start some full-time work or travel a little bit, you know, before you really get into that work, we have that option as well. I'm just going to hand it back to Sebastian now and give you some more information about kind of the clubs and stuff that we offer at university as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chantel. So look, one key takeaway from me there is the old Nutrigrain slogan, you only get out what you put in. And it absolutely is. University is what you make of it. And there are lots of opportunities for you to get to know people, get involved in things. We've got some fantastic clubs and groups on campus. So it's a great way to get involved and meet people from your degree area or with shared common interests, get together, play some video games, or just enjoy a shared interest. Obviously, there's lots of sporting opportunities. So if you do want to get involved in recreational sporting teams, university is a great place to do that as well. But if you're a bit more competitive, we do also have a high performing student athlete program. So if you are still actively competing in sport at a competitive level, we definitely want to hear from you so we can make sure you can take advantage of the support services available as part of that way as well. But one big opportunity I'd like to encourage everyone to take advantage of is our volunteering. We've got a fantastic Students as Partners program, which basically allows students to develop a range of different skills, particularly around employability skills, by volunteering for different organizations, events, and activities. Now, some of those are university things. It might be, helping new students find their way around campus, or it could be working with a community organization or the council or the government on a special project where they're looking for student volunteers to get involved in. These are all fantastic things that you can reference in a job interview or on selection criteria responses when you start applying for your jobs upon graduation as well. So definitely taking full advantage of university means taking advantage of all these different programs that get out there along the way as well. Now, we've shared a lot of information about, I suppose, the administration of getting to university today, but some of you might still have questions and might be wondering about the different career options available to you. I will mention that we do have a immersive online platform called immerse.usc.edu.au. It's a fantastic way to essentially explore different study areas you might be interested in and learn a little bit more about how we do things at UniSC. So I'd strongly encourage you to jump on, have a bit of a look around that. If you're still trying to decide between two different areas, if you've changed your preference list a few times and you're not too sure that the current order is the right one, it's a really great place to start for you to get that final information. And I'm going to leave this slide up as there was one question I wanted to go over live just because we did have a question in relation to that one. But basically we do have our Student Central available for any questions that you might have on there. So 5430-2890, information@usc.edu.au. They're going to be open from 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So they're going to be able to take questions from you along the way. So particularly if you do have questions ahead of that preference change there as well. So if you do have any final questions that you'd like to ask or would like us to address live, please do jump into Q&A